Hello everyone here. Excuse me. Hello everyone. Coach Ed Haynes here to talk to you about the newest priorities for the fitness S&C program. We started a new block today and I wanted to talk about the next 4 weeks, but also start by reflecting on the last 8 weeks. So we concluded our last 8-week block with a little bit of testing. We tested the power clean, back squat 3 rep max. We tested a Bulgarian split squat. We also tested a 5-rep bench press. Some really encouraging results here, guys. Actually, across all 3 groups, there were a ton of personal bests in both the power clean and back squat. And that's probably indicative of the fact that we spent a lot of time accumulating a lot of volume and intensity over the last 12 weeks. So that was great to see. Bulgarian split squat for the fitness group. We have a lot of data on the Bulgarian split squat. Generally speaking, we want people to be hitting about 33% of their body weight per hand for 8 repetitions per leg. Now, reviewing the results, I think a lot of us aren't quite at that target yet. So all that really means is that we're going to continue to prioritize single leg knee flexion in this training cycle, and that will kind of probably be a mainstay throughout the majority of the year. We appreciate and understand that the fitness group's goal is to achieve structural balance as best possible, and so unilateral work or single leg, single arm work will always be present in our training program. Moving on swiftly, for the next 4 weeks, we are going to move into an accumulation phase. So generally speaking, higher volume or higher repetition work. We're actually going to be prioritizing a little bit more in terms of controlled resistance training. So those who trained today would have seen that there wasn't any conditioning programmed. Instead, we're kind of doing some strength endurance or hypertrophy sets, both for the upper body and lower body. And we're going to continue to do that for the next 4 weeks. We want to kind of build some solid foundations, given that the last 12 weeks have been a little bit more taxing on the body. Also bearing in mind that it is the festive season, and we're well aware that a lot of us travel or can't be as adherent to consistently making 4 to 5 sessions a week. So we're taking that into consideration and kind of just backing off in terms of intensity a little bit. Guaranteed that when we come round to our new training cycle in 4 weeks' time, we will be cranking things up a little bit. Just going to quickly talk about the new split in your training week. We have moved things around a little bit, especially on Tuesdays. So on Mondays, we're going to be working on developing some front squat absolute strength, but we're going to keep it a little bit more specific to the actual clean itself. So we'll be starting with a clean into front squats. We're then going to be building some hinging absolute strength. Today we're actually doing work from a deficit. So for those who are following the program remotely who aren't working with our coaching team, bear in mind that we only want you to do deficit work if you're able to get into a good mechanical position. So if you find it tough to get into a good position from the floor, then we'd recommend that you continue to deadlift from the floor until you have the required mobility to allow you to reach deeper in deficit. And then, as mentioned, we'll be doing some upper body and lower body strength endurance or hypertrophy sets on a Monday. We're going to keep that pretty varied, but you definitely will be seeing some single leg work in there, as well as some single arm pushing and pulling. Tuesday is traditionally kind of like our upper body strength day or upper body gymnastics day. We're breaking the mold a little bit there. It's really important that we don't get too used to, or our body doesn't adapt to a particular training stimulus, and one of those training stimuluses could be what we expose your body to on a certain day of the week. So rather than doing our upper body work, we're going to be doing some mixed modal aerobic training on a Tuesday. How that's currently looking is we're working anywhere between 3 to 5 blocks of 5 to 8 minutes of work, and the goal there is sustainability. So we want to be working at paces which are sub-maximal, which allows us to work through the duration of whatever the prescribed work is. So general things to think about there, guys, is in terms of a rate of perceived exertion, we don't really want to be getting too much higher than a 9. In terms of body language, we should be staying upright, we shouldn't be falling flat on our backs. And we should be recovering from those sessions fairly quickly. We are keeping them mixed modal, so there will be elements of pushing, pulling, lifting, jumping, squatting, hinging, maybe some higher skill gymnastics components in there as well. So it's not just going to be cyclical work. Wednesdays, as you know, is your rest day or your catch-up day. Thursdays, we're going to continue to hammer home some horizontal pressing strength. Was really happy to see the progress we made with the bench press testing at the end of the last block, but it's still a priority. So we're just going to vary the stimulus there a little bit. We'll also be working towards, reintroducing some heavier vertical pulling, so pull-upping on a bar. Now remember, if you don't have your pull-up, it is a goal, it is a priority to get everyone the ability to do pull-ups. So men or ladies, if you don't have it, trust that the eccentric work is what you need to get you to your goals. It's slow, it's arduous, and we've seen people be consistent for over a year before they got their first pull-up. So all we ask is continue to trust the process and hopefully get your first pull-up. We'll be continuing to do some single leg knee flexion work on a Thursday. Not necessarily Bulgarian split squatting, but movement patterns similar to the Bulgarian split squat, which allow us to train the whole leg in a single leg movement. We'll be finishing with some thresholds aerobic sets on a Thursday. So think of that as shorter to moderate duration with short to moderate rest. Working at higher intensities than you would be on a Tuesday. But again, the goal is to be repeatable there. With that said, when we do threshold training, we may see a drop off, and that's actually okay. Fridays, guys, we're going to be doing some back squatting coupled with some upper body pressing. So typically when we back squat in the past, we've isolated the back squat or the front squat by itself. Now we're going to be pairing the squat with an upper body pressing or pulling movement. Again, keeping some variance in there, but you'll probably expect to do a little bit more vertical pressing. Followed with, we're going to keep the Fridays kind of nice and open. We want touches of a bit of everything on a Friday. That might be in an EMOM format, that might be in an isolated B1, B2, C1, C2 format, but expect to see coupling of things like weightlifting, some basic gymnastics, upper body strength training, and some cyclical work, kind of all tied in a non-fatigue or non-tested way. Saturdays, again, a similar theme. We're really liking what we're doing on a Saturday at the moment, which is those longer aerobic pieces. Again, keeping it varied. We're going to be doing some partner workouts, team workouts, but typically expect to be working anywhere between 25 to 40 minutes on the Saturdays. Just some final reminders for the fitness crew. Guys, really important you stay on top of doing your own mobility or warm-ups prior to class. Remember, we do put those into WhatsApp, so it's for you to access. There are YouTube links available, and we do typically update those on a 4 to 8 week basis. We are aware that we take you through warm-up in classes, but we just want you guys to get a little bit more. So things like joint rotations and specific targeted mobility work based upon the session ahead is only going to allow you to get more out of your training session, as well as always thinking about that longevity piece. We want you guys to be fit, strong, and healthy and doing this for a really, really long time. With regards to moving from the fitness to performance group, and I'll always touch on this, first and foremost, it's really important to understand that the priorities of the two groups differ. The priorities of the performance groups are for those who have an invested interest in competing in the sport of CrossFit. So if that is your goal, and perhaps you've moved from general health and fitness to wanting to pursue the sport of CrossFit, we'd love to have a conversation with you. We do have some strength and movement prerequisites we'd like you to meet before we move you into that group, and that's just to ensure that you're really getting the appropriate dose response from the stimulus. A couple of things to think about there. Probably the two main things that aren't included in the fitness program that are included in the performance competitors program are higher skill gymnastics and technical movements and Olympic lifting, specifically the snatch. So if those two things are of an interest to you, remember we do have a couple of specialty classes that run consistently every week. We have our barbell club, and we also have functional gymnastics or functional movement, which does cater towards, so it has a bias towards gymnastics movement. So if you're thinking about a change, you think that you're not ready for perhaps what's in the performance group, those are great places to start. And in fact, you might realize that that's enough and that fulfills your Olympic lifting or gymnastics needs. I had a few people ask about accessory work. As you guys know, we prescribe accessory work to the competitors program only, but with that said, it's actually open for everyone. So if you're in a fitness program and you do have time to commit after the group class to 15 to 20 minutes of extra work, highly recommend that you guys jump in and complete the competitors accessory work. Generally speaking, it's low in complexity, but it's very structural, balance based. And I think we all believe it's an integral part to a continued journey in health and fitness. So if you do have the time to do it, There are always people hanging around doing it. Please, by all means, jump in. And if you're not sure what to do, just reach out to one of the coaches or one of the athletes on the floor. I'm sure they'll help you. Very last piece, guys, just generally speaking, stay on top of your mobility and your movement work. You can never get enough of this kind of stuff. You know, different sources for learning and education, things like YouTube, things like Mobility Wad, you know, a lot of online sources that are providing free content as to how to look after your body. But generally speaking, supplementing your training with your own guided stretching, yoga, manual therapy, so working with a tissue therapist to kind of loosen up your tissues and your fascia. Those are great places to start. Okay guys, that's it from me. Thanks for tuning in and hope you got a lot out of this video. Looking forward to tracking your progress over the next 4 weeks.